Disclaimer, I do not promote witchcraft on this platform. I see this as a form of art to build conversations around the theme of the movies that connects to real life. Hello, my name is Shelly and welcome to The Clamshell. Today we're going to talk about the movie that once was in Broadway but now is in theaters, Wicked. Before she was the Wicked Witch of the West, she was just Elphaba, a misunderstood girl with green skin and a dream. But how did Wicked become one of the most beloved musicals? Let's dive into the story of the Witches of Oz. Wicked is based off Gregory Maguire's 1995 novel, Wicked, The Lives and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. The book reimagines L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz, The Wiz, giving a backstory to the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, and Glinda the Good Witch. Maguire's novel explores the themes of prejudice, politics, morality, turning the traditional evil witch into a misunderstood, tragic anti-hero. Wicked made its way in 2003 to Broadway. It starred Idina Menzel as Elphaba and Kristen Chenoweth as Glinda the Good Witch. There were a couple changes that was made in the San Francisco Broadway show, but through those changes, the Broadway show finally opened up at the Gershon Theater in October 30th, 2003. And it's had division since the conception of the Broadway show. Some praise the show for its spectacle and emotional depth, while others criticize it for being overly commercialized. Despite the mixed reviews, the audience fell in love regardless. They fell in love with the story, the music, the characters. So what is Wicked about? Well, let's get into it. This is a spoiler review, so if you don't want any spoils, peace out, y'all. But come back after watching the movie and we can combine two minds together. So the movie starts off in Munchkin Land and everyone's declaring the witch is dead, the witch is dead, and Glinda comes in her little magic bubble thing.
If there are no further questions, I'm gonna go.
And she's like, yeah, the witch is dead. That's cool. I'm busy. Peace. And then this girl, she was like, wait, I heard that you knew her. You were friends. And she was like, yeah, you're right. Our paths did cross once upon a time. And then it goes into this flashback into Shiz University. And also she told a background story of how Elphaba was born. I think that was in the beginning. And she was green. Elphaba is like the governor's daughter, the first daughter, pretty much. And when she was born out of an affair. It's like as soon as the husband left for business, the wife was like, okay, I'm out here. I was like, what? What's going on here? And then she got pregnant. So whose child that is? According to everybody else, that's the governor's daughter. So as soon as she was born, she came out green, and it was like immediately her powers activated. So it was like, I don't know, stuff went everywhere as soon as she was born, which is kind of crazy to think about, because it's like, if you're a baby, you're barely conscious, you're barely existing, yet you got the power to make everything go everywhere, telekinesis, whatever. I don't know, that's crazy. But so her father was like, that baby green, I don't want it. And so there was a bear that took care of Elphaba. The bear nanny. The Banny. The Banny. The Banny was taking care of her. So then we go to Shiz University. It's the flashback. Woo! So the governor and Elphaba is dropping off her sister Nessa Rose, and she's in a wheelchair. So Elphaba and their dad is at the school dropping Nessa Rose off. She's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have the time of your life. You're not even gonna miss me. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're right. Basically. And she wheelchairs over to the school. She's already talking to friends, potential friends, whatever. And the dad is like, go take care of her. And Elphaba is like, she don't need to be taken care of. She can handle herself. And the governor's like, if anything happens to her, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. So Elphaba goes, and then she runs into Galinda.
You're green.
I am.
Galinda, startled by a sudden green person, and she was like, you're green. And then Elphaba goes into this whole speech. She probably practiced her whole life. She was like, no, I did not eat grass when I was younger. No, I'm not sick. No. I forgot what else she said, but it basically was like that. It's a whole checklist.
What? What are you looking at? Oh, do I have something in my teeth? All right, fine. Well, might as well get this over with. No, I'm not seasick. Yes, I've always been green. No, I didn't eat grass as a child.
Elphaba!
Oh, and this is my younger sister, Nessa Rose. As you can see, she's a perfectly normal color.
It's kind of like that meme where the tall person hands them a card and he's like, yes, I'm 6'10". Yes, it's weird seeing over people's heads. No, I don't play basketball. It's kind of like that. And then Glenda was like, well, as soon as I learn magic, I'll help you in your element. And everybody around her like clapping like, oh my gosh, Ari, Glenda, you're so perfect and nice. And then Elphaba was like, girl, you're gonna fix something I didn't ask you to fix with magic that you don't know how to do? Girl, bye. Basically. That's basically how that interaction went down. The governor sent Elphaba to check on the other daughter, Nessa Rose. And she went to go check on her, right? And this other lady that, you know, had a strong disdain for Elphaba, you know, because she was green, you know. She's like, we'll take good care of Nessa Rose, the governor's daughter. And she's like handling her wheelchair. And Nessa Rose don't like that. She's like, let go, girl. I got myself. Let go. And Elphaba is kind of saying the same thing. But then there's like a swarm of people that's like kind of separating her and Nessa Rose. And so she's like, she doesn't do it intentionally. She doesn't know how to like control her powers. Things just happen. Whenever like she gets emotionally inflicted, I suppose. Is that how you would say it? Emotionally conflicted? Whatever. She can't control her emotions, therefore she cannot control her powers. So then she gets all anxious and she's like, oh my god, I need to get to my sister. And so she got to her sister, but she ended up doing some magical woo stuff to get to her sister. And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're weird. You're green and you're magical. Ew! Basically. But then Glenda's like, I want to learn how to do that. and enters this character, Madame Marvel. Madame Marvel's like, you didn't do that, I did that. And, you know, don't give her no mind. I did that, you know? And then everyone started clapping, you know? They were like, yeah, you're so powerful, Madame Marvel. And so, Madame Marvel was like, oh my gosh, I will mentor you personally. I got you, boo. And Alpha was like, my dad said that I can't. I'm not supposed to be here. And she was like, don't worry, I'll talk to your dad. I got you, boo. Then that's when Elphaba is like, oh my gosh, I'm in school! I'm in school! Yes! Yes! I'm in school! And so she starts singing about it. She's like, oh my gosh, can't believe that this happened to me. I'm finally gonna learn how to control my powers. I could potentially meet the Wizard of Oz. Oh my gosh, this is lit. She ends up rooming with Glinda because Glinda was being thirsty, volunteering herself to talk to Madame Marvel because she really wanted Madame Marvel to teach her some bippity boppity boo type stuff, you know. And Madame Marvel couldn't care less. She was like, okay, stop talking to me. and Glinda's like, well, did you get the letters that I sent to you? My essay about wands? It was wantastic, wasn't it? And she's like, girl, get out of my face. Why are you here again? Basically, that was the vibe. That was the vibe, basically. So then, because Glinda was so thirsty, she ended up rooming with Elphaba. Madame Marvel volunteered her. It was like, oh, you can room with her. And Glinda, you know, of course, she was so ecstatic about it.
You can room with Miss Glinda.
What?
Now.
Just kidding. Her heart was disgustified. Oh, I love the lingo that was in the movie. I'm sure that's gonna be really popular. It's gonna be popping soon. So then cue the loathing song. It's a bop. It is 10 out of 10 a bop. Bopified. Okay. So they're in class with the goat professor. Don't know his name. So he's teaching a history about Oz, pretty much. Glinda was blue that he couldn't pronounce her name, but he had a, you know, a speech impediment, if you would say that, you know. It was pretty bad. That's how he talked, because he was, you know, a goat, you know. And when he was doing this lesson, he flipped over the board, and the board said something like, oh, animals shouldn't be able to talk or something. As you can imagine, that hurt his little fifis. He's like, class dismissed. He was like, class dismissed. So then, after that, he ends up dropping like a pot of the poppies that's on his table. Cupcake just scared me. And Elphaba helps him pick it up. I don't know how he was gonna pick it up. It didn't seem like he had opposable thumbs. He had the hooves, so I don't know how that was gonna work. Anyway, so good on Elphaba for thinking about that. And he's like, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You could go with your friends. And Elphaba's like, what friends? What friends? He's like, well, you got a friend in me. That's basically what happened. It was a very cute, heartwarming moment. The first time somebody was like, Elphaba, you cool peoples, you know? And so yeah. So then after that, Elphaba saw the Professor Goat again, and she followed him. Cause she's like, what's up, Professor? And he didn't hear her. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna go with you. Friend, you said that earlier. So she follows him, and there's a secret meeting that's happening with other animals. And they're talking about how there's a conspiracy theory of Oz, or someone in Oz, trying to take away the animals' voices. And Elphaba was like, oh crap, this is something I shouldn't be saying. And then eventually I don't know if she made a noise or something, but everyone was like, who's there? You know, that sort of thing. And then the goat's like, oh, that's my girl Elphaba. She cool peoples. But then they disappeared anyway. They left. They were like, I'm not about that life. She might be a snitch. Bye. But then, you know, the goat and her started talking. They was talking about, yeah, there's an agenda against us. It kind of sucks. I don't know what's gonna happen, man. It's like, this is terrible. We need to do something. Maybe I can go to Oz and stop this from happening, sort of thing, you know? She was walking to her dorm room or wandering through the forest, something like that. And that's when the Rizzler appeared. That's when the Rizzler appeared. He almost runs into her with his horse. And she's like, oh my gosh, you trample over everyone in your life or something? Like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, sorry, you were blending in with the foliage. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna say something to you. I don't eat grass. I'm not sick. He was like, you haven't eaten grass before? And he's smiling at her, doing his Rizzler things, you know? And she's like, oh. He's not like as, you know, he's not like everybody else when they see her. He's like, oh, interesting. But not like, I'm disgustified, you know? And then she's like, oh, I gotta go. So she goes. So basically, Elphaba is the first one to run into the Rizzler, aka the Prince. So there's a whole rumor. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, the Prince is coming here. Prince Ferrero. I think that's his name. Ferrero. Apparently he's from Bridgerton. He's fired. I'm not gonna lie. A little, you know. Anyways. And of course, Glinda hears about this. She gets, you know, all dressed up like she is anyway throughout the movie, right? And she pulls one of these. One of those. So the Glinda Riz is unmatched, you know? She got that blonde hair, don't care Riz. Princess Pink Fairy Riz, you know? Yeah. It just so happens that I'm obligated to take new students on a tour. Oh, you're a new student? It's your lucky day. Honestly, Ariana Grande was kind of made for this role, low-key. She did really, really good. Oh my gosh. So Glinda shows the prince around, and she barely even knows what the heck is name of the places or whatever. But of course, that was her wrist tactic, you know. And then that's when Dancing Through Life started. It's a song. It's a song. I was just watching the video. They were kind of breaking down the choreography, and like how they filmed the Dancing Through Life kind of song, and they're crazy. they're crazy, they're creative, all of the things. They did that. When I say they did that, they did that.
Swaying and sweeping.
We have the spinning wheel. It was this idea of spinning into it and landing and crashing into a new headspace.
This set took up the entire stage. It is almost 180 feet long by 145 feet wide, and it went all the way up to the roof in the center, which is 45 feet high. A massively huge set. We used 495 lights to light the scene.
We're watching a lot of work. I think when we were shooting this, about 350 people were on set.
We knew if this worked, if Dancing Through Life works, that we had our movie.
Some people call it a hamster wheel. I hated that name, so I was like, let's call it a tornado wheel from now on.
Keep it Aussian.
Yes.
So 3 different bookshelves would be rotating with these ladders. How do we move a camera through this tornado wheel safely?
It's very dangerous, actually. The amount of engineering and people that had to go into securing this. I mean, insurance alone really didn't want us to do this.
I wasn't sure they were going to allow Jonathan Bailey in the tornado wheel because of safety, which makes sense because this is, he needs to carry on. We can't injure our Fiero.
I remember getting the dailies for the scene and thinking, how is no one getting crushed while they're dancing through it?
You know how? Because there's about 4 or 5 people that are behind that are looking at a bunch of monitors in there, and they're changing the speed so that the dancers don't get crashed.
And you have to have dancers who can move that thing. You have to have engineers who can run that thing. And you don't know what kind of dancers you can do until you have the thing built. And this thing wasn't built until 2 weeks before shooting.
Also, before he started Dancing Through Life, he successfully rizzed an older librarian, kissed on the cheek. He did one of these. And then yeah, Elphaba, she was like, oh my gosh, he's singing and dancing. I'm trying to study. I'ma head out, And then that's when the prince is like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm gonna throw a party and everybody's invited. And Glenda's like, oh my gosh, yes, a party. How romantic. The Munchkin dude, played by the SpongeBob guy. Oh yeah, his name is Ethan Slater. And the character name is Bach, I think. Pretty sure. The ginger guy, And so Glenda's like, oh, you know how you could really help me or whatever? Because he was trying to come on to Glenda. Because he's like, oh my gosh, girl, you're so beautiful. I got the house for you or something. And she's like, he didn't say it in those words, but that's what he basically said, right? But she was like, you know what would be better if you would take her to the dance, Nessa Rose, Elphaba's sister. It would be better if you would take her to the dance. And he's like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. I actually wanted to invite her, but too shy. Or something. I don't know. That's what he does. He invites her to the dance. And she gets all excited. She's like, oh my gosh, Elphaba. I'm so excited. It's my first dance. I'm so excited. I need to go. And she's like, and Elphaba's kind of worried because Nessa Rose knew that Glenda was kind of behind it, but she thought she was, just being nice, She's like, Glenda's so purr. I know how you feel about her, but don't do all that. Don't do all that. Glenda's for the girls. That's basically what Nessa Rose was saying. Glenda's for the girls. So then, she gets ready for the dance, and Elphaba sees how much it means to her sister, and so she's like, okay, go to the dance, have fun. I understand. She pulled one of those, So Glenda was with her crew or whatever, you know, her little two goonies, her, you know, two little friends. And they were in the room, she was getting ready, and she was like, oh my God. Like, bro, they were like tightening her in the dress. She's like, yeah, that's it, that's the one. I was like, oh, that dress was a beaut. Okay, it was a beaut. Actually, honestly, all the dresses, oh, so good. Wardrobe, top notch, okay? And so they find this hat in her wardrobe, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so uggos. What are you doing, girly pop? What are you doing?
Ew! I know. It's my granny's. I'd give it away, but I don't hate anyone that much.
Hey.
You should join us tonight. And don't tell me you have nothing to wear, because you could wear this.
And she's like, oh my gosh, my grandma gave that to me and she made it, but I don't hate anyone enough to, you know, just throw it away. So I just keep it. And they have the idea to, you know, give it to Elphaba because it's so hideous. It matches her vibe, you know. And then it just so happened that Elphaba came in the room. And they got all quiet. They got all quiet. Has that ever happened to you? You go in a room, people quiet. Oh. Oh, talking about me, huh? That's crazy. And I'm just saying, it's not always that. Sometimes it could be private stuff too. But in this case, they were most definitely talking about her, you know? And they were like, gotta go. See you around, girly pop. Bye. You know, that sort of thing. And so they left. And Elphaba was like, I really appreciate what you did for my sister. She was really happy. Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, you know, we were just talking about you, and I wanted to give you this. Why don't you come to the dance? With the hat, with the fuggle hat, the ugly fuggle hat, you know. And Elphaba was like, okay. And she realizes Galinda's not that bad, so she does her a favor. So in the next scene, they go to this under the sea type club or whatever. It's getting litty, under the sea vibes, you know. And everyone's partying. It's a vibe. And that's a Rose dancing in a wheelchair with the munchkin. Bach, that's his name, Bach. And Galinda's getting on with Prince Ferrari. Prince Ferrari. And Madame Marvel comes with a wand and she gives it to Glinda. And Glinda's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And Madame Marvel's, she makes it super clear. She's like, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for Elphaba. She asked me to give this to you. She even said that she'll stop being my apprentice if I don't give this to you. So it's just to keep her for real. Like, I don't really have any type of faith in you or anything like that, but girl, here you go. And Glinda's like, oh, so it's only because of Elphaba I got this wand? And then enters Elphaba. She comes. The music stops for some reason. Her green skin just killed the vibe, I guess. And then she started doing this dance. I was like, you know, she was dancing without music, and I feel like that's why it was so awkward, because they stopped the music. But honestly, it would have been a vibe with the music, right? But they wanted to make fun of her. This went on for like a whole 2 minutes probably. They were making fun of her. They're like, my heart is disgustified. And they were like, oh, look at that hat. She's so ill. You know, classic bullying, you know. Did you see the movie? What did you think? Oh, what did you think of it? You lost your voice, Cupcake. I'm sorry for your loss. We used to talk about all the things. And now we don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. Yeah, so she starts doing this little dance thing. She was hitting the quan, and she was nay-naying, and it was awkward because there was no music, you know? And Ari's like, ugh, she just did me this favor. This is something I really wanted it, and it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Elphaba. And even though I low-key hated her, she kinda not that bad. And so Glenda, aka Ari, goes in there. She starts dancing with her, without the music, you know. And then her Goonies was like, ah, what are you doing? What are you doing, girly pop? She's like, what I feel is right. She didn't say that. I forgot what she said. But she's like, no, I have to do this sort of thing. And then they're dancing together. And then because she was so popular, it made it cool. And so they ended up turning the music back on, and everyone was vibing, you know. So then we go back to their room, and they're vibing. It's the first time they're vibing. Like, girly pop to girly pop, you know. And Glenda's like, tell me a secret. I'll tell you mine. Okay, I'll go first. She goes first. And she's like, I'm gonna marry the prince. And Alpha was like, oh, that was fast, because it's literally been a day. And she's like, yeah, he doesn't know it yet. Well, true. And then, so Glenda is like, oh, what's a secret of yours? She's like, what's that battle or whatever? And she goes under her pillow, and they do like a little chase scene or whatever. She's like, what is this? And she's like, that's my mom's. You know, she gets kind of a little spicy about it, because, you know, sentimental, some mama stuff, you know. And then Glenda, dramatic as ever, is like, that's not fair. I gave you a good one. She's like sprawled out on the bed like a Disney princess. And then Elphaba's like, yeah, I'll give you a secret. My dad hates me. Glenda's like, and she's like, that's not the secret. The secret is I accidentally disabled my sister. It's my fault. And she said it's her fault, because when she came out green, her dad was like, I don't want another a weirdo green baby. So he forced the mom to eat white lilies or white lilacs or something every day for pregnancy. So for 9 months she was eating that white stuff, I guess. And because of that, I guess she came out, you know, there were some symptoms, and Nessa Rose came out all, you know, disabled, I guess. And then Glenda validated her. It was like, no, that's not your fault. That's your dad's fault, first off. Second off, that white lilies probably killed your mom, because her mom passed too. I don't think I said that. Potentially from the white lilies or lilacs or whatever they're called. But Glenda's like, no, that's not your fault. And that's where I cried, because it was very good, emotional pack, you know, an emotional punch, you know. Yeah.
Emotional, damn it!
Sorry guys, I didn't realize how long this video was gonna be. So I'ma have part 2 come out real soon for you guys, okay? Alright. Peace and love. I hope you guys have a really good day. Alright. Bye.